Challenging Glock Perfection? Let's check it out. Glock introduced their Model 17 in 1982, and it was Gadsden Glock's first attempt to make a handgun. He had been making entrenching tools and knives for the Austrian military. And when they started looking for a new sidearm, Glock introduced the Glock 17, which won the trials. And since that time, Glock has become one of the most popular handguns in the world. There have been many different generations, and today we're going to be looking at the Generation 3 or the Gen 3, and a number of different handguns that have come out to challenge the Glock Perfection. The patents on the Gen 3 Glocks have expired, and from that there's a lot of different companies that are looking at upgrading, again, one of the most popular guns in the world. And so we're going to look at three different types: the PSA Dagger, the Zev OZ-9, and the Rock Island Armory STK-100. Each has different characteristics, but they all are inspired by the Glock. Now, Glock has not lost its trademark, and the trademark is this look of the Glock. And Glock's going to keep that look. But it's really cool to see a lot of these companies coming out with additional features to improve on this very simple design that's been proven. And guys, the Glock is known for its reliability and its simplicity. And I think a lot of these guns are taking that simplicity and they're just improving it in different ways. This is one thing that I've been wanting to see personally for myself. So really, I'm just taking you guys along. Guys, this is our lineup. We have the original Glock 19 Gen 3. We have one of the PSA Daggers. Then we have the Rock Island Armory STK-100. And then we have the Zev OZ-9. While all of these kind of look similar and they do have Glock characteristics, there are some really big differences in all four of these pistols. And so we're going to kind of get a detailed look, and we're going to take it out to the range and check it out. But before we really get started into this, the Glock 19, it is one of the most popular pistols ever made. I mean, there are so many people that love the Glock series. I mean, these have been around since 1982, and for over 39 years, the Glock pistols have almost dominated the market. And a lot of that has to do with a lot of police agencies, with a lot of things that have gone on over the years. But I think one of the biggest things that the Glock has going for it is its simplicity. So we're going to take a look at some of the features and some upgrades that you might really like the Glock, but you want to upgrade it into something else. I mean, so many people send these off to have them completely redone already. And so I think a number of companies have seen that, and they're answering with these different pistols. And one of those companies that I've had some dealings with is Rival Arms. I mean, this is a slide that's been completely customized. You've got their barrel, their system at the top, and you can just put this on your standard frame of your Glock pistol. And that's a great way to go as well. But, when you want to send off your gun to have a lot of work done to it, it can be expensive, it's time consuming. So I think these are some answers for those guys who want to just take it a step above. And the first gun that I really want to look at is the Zev OZ-9, and this is the compact version. It's the same size as your Glock 19, and we're going to go ahead and drop the magazine, check the chamber, and the gun is empty. Now, it does come with a regular PMag magazine, but it does take your standard Glock mags. I'm not really a huge fan of the Magpul PMags for my Glocks. I love PMags for AR-15s and even for the AK and others. But I've not always had stellar experience with the PMags. Now, and so typically I will carry a regular standard Glock mag in this pistol. One of the things though about this handgun right up front, beside just a lot of changes, with the grip, I mean, it's been stippled. I mean, there's a lot of texturing. A lot of design differences here. The slide, I mean, look at all of these milling marks. I mean, it's optics ready. You got a mag well. You do have an extended beaver tail that kind of comes out. The trigger is a Zev trigger, which Zev has been making aftermarket Glock parts for a long time, and they really can Gucci up your Glock. But this is just their full pistol, and this is not a Glock 19 that they've taken and changed. This is actually from the ground up using Glock design, but this is from the ground up a totally different pistol. One of the big things about this handgun in particular, and we'll look at it in a second, is it has a chassis system. It's all steel. In fact, this little Picatinny rail that comes out is actually metal. It's steel. And so this gives this firearm a lot of rigidity in the frame, and yet you still have the flex of the polymer. It's kind of like the best of both worlds. But one of the things about the trigger is it's a flat face trigger. It's really smooth. Breaks really nice, and that's definitely different from your standard Glock, which, you know, obviously can be pretty mushy, but it's just typical for a lot of striker fire polymer frame pistols. But there have been a lot of upgrades with a lot of the companies that have improved that. Same controls. You have a metal magazine release, you have your minimal slide stop, and you have your standard takedown levers, which have been extended just a little bit to allow this to come down, but this section around it is also metal. Of course, front and rear cocking serrations. The sights are excellent. Even the end plate has been stylized. And so this gun has a lot of custom features. Now, one of the things about this firearm, it's the most expensive out of the whole group. In fact, it starts at around $1,100+ for their just basic models, and then as they move up, you know, it can really get pretty pricey. But guys spend $1,000 on customizing their standard Glock. And so this is not anything new, and there's a lot of guys that really like to kind of take it to the next level, and this would be one of those pistols. Then we go to the opposite end of the spectrum, and this is the Palmetto State Armory Dagger 9. This is a polymer frame pistol. Of course, you have Glock compatible parts all throughout. With the Zev, you don't have that much parts compatibility. We'll kind of look at that when we kind of look at the interior. But with the PSA Dagger, I mean, all the parts are pretty much interchangeable. We're going to go ahead and drop our magazine. It also comes with a PMag, and then the chamber's empty. And I really like to add a standard Glock mag even here. But see, you can see where the cuts are right here, so it makes it easy if you're trying to pull this mag out for a malfunction. We have, you know, a metal magazine release. Of course, you have your same kind of, you know, minimal slide stop. You have your same takedown type levers. And really, even the Picatinny rail is that one section, just like the Glock. But one of the things about this handgun that really stands out above your standard Glock 19 is the grip has been completely just rounded off. Man, it is very comfortable, and it takes away that Glock blocky feel to it. And so when I'm bringing this in, I mean, it just feels really natural. I love the way this feels. And then you have your undercut here, and then of course we have an undercut right here on the front of the trigger guard. Front and rear cocking serrations, they've kind of brought this down to an angle so it makes it not so blocky as well. This one does not have optics ready, but they are making a model that will be optics ready. But if you're going to do a lot of slide work to the pistol, and then you're going to do a lot of framework, and you're going to do stippling, and you're going to reduce the grip, you know, this is a great option to be able to come in with a kind of a minimalist upgrade. But one of the huge things about the PSA is that these retail for $299.99, which is absolutely crazy. One of the things that Jamin McCullough, who owns PSA, he just said, I want a Glock compatible pistol, and I want to produce it and sell it for $299.99. Now, one of the big things about Palmetto State Armory is they make these and they sell them direct. And so that definitely cuts down on the price, and it allows them to sell this pistol for a lot less. It doesn't really take away a lot from the quality that way. And so you're just kind of cutting out some of the distributors, some of the middlemen, so you can order this directly. And so that definitely is part of the reason why the price is so right with this. It is compatible with your standard Glock sights, and so you can get whatever you want to put on here. But as far as a really sweet shooting gun, this one definitely feels good in the hand. The one downside to me with this pistol is the trigger, and they've gone to that pivot style trigger of the M&P, which is honestly not all that great. But you can put aftermarket Glock triggers in here, or you can put a standard Glock trigger. But here we have some take up, and then we have that mushy break. It's got a little bit of a crisp break at the beginning, but it still has that same Glock feel to it. You do have a little bit more of a pronounced beaver tail that comes up. And so honestly, for $299, I mean, this is a fantastic pistol. And this is, again, the bottom end, but yet there's a lot of great quality with this handgun. And then we have the Rock Island Armory STK-100. This one really differentiates itself because it has an aluminum frame. So it's got some heft to it. Let's go ahead and check to make sure the gun is unloaded. We're going to drop our magazine, check to make sure, and it's empty. Now, one thing they use is the KCI magazines. These are made in Korea, and they actually function pretty well, but this will take your standard Glock factory mags as well. I love the checkering. It's very well done. The feel of the gun, I mean, it's very ergonomic in your hand. You see the beaver tail coming up to the back. 3-slot Picatinny rail. I mean, we've got relief cuts here in the slide. It is optics ready, and there are some really cool design features in this pistol. And then, of course, the sight itself is attached to the RMR plate, so when you remove it, you're going to lose your sight. And then we have, of course, the front sight. The barrel, this one is actually more of a Glock 17 size. It holds 17+1. It's the full size, and I'm sure they're going to come out with a compact size, more like the Glock 19. Has a 4.5-inch barrel. Shooting this, it's a very soft shooting firearm, and a lot of it has to do, of course, with the aluminum frame, which gives it a little bit extra weight. When it comes to the trigger, though, it's pretty much a Glock trigger. I mean, it's pretty, you know, a little take up. We have that little bit of a spongy feel to it. But, you know, you can actually get aftermarket triggers. There's a lot of parts compatibility with the STK-100 to your Glocks. But now, one thing that is different about this pistol than about anything I've seen is that it has a 2-piece frame. And, you know, that does concern me just a touch. I mean, you can see the seam. And this is actually just bolted together all the way through. And then you have your locking block, which actually adheres the receiver together. And so over time, we'll see how that works. Rock Island Armory makes more 1911s than any other gun company in the world. And they really put out some great products for a very reasonable price. And the retail price on the STK-100 is $599, but typically market price will be considerably less. Weight on the Glock 19 Gen 3. 1 pound, 7.8 ounces. Weight on the PSA Dagger 9. 1 pound, 7 ounces. Weight on the Zev OZ-9 Compact. 1 pound, 11 ounces. Weight on the Rock Island Armory STK-100. 2 pounds, 0.8 ounces. But guys, also remember that this is in the Glock 17 configuration. In the compact version, it would be less. We really appreciate Fiocchi for sponsoring the ammo, all made in the USA. One of the largest suppliers or manufacturers of ammo in the country. And really, right at this point right now, I wish I had my little loader, but I forgot it. So we started out with the Glock 19. Just wanted to get back familiar with how it functioned, how it shot, the recoil management, how it felt in your hand. And so that just gave us a baseline. And then we moved to the PSA Dagger, which is very similar to the Glock 19, but the grip has been just reformed pretty much. It's much more ergonomic. It's slim, it's trim, and it feels really great in your hand. One of the things about the Glock is that it is that blocky feel to it. And so when you're grabbing it, it's kind of a square feel. With the PSA Dagger, it just molds off those angles. And so it just gives you a more natural feel. But pretty much the recoil management and everything else was about the same as the 19. Then we brought out the Zev OZ-9. Now with that chassis system, it does add some weight to the firearm. And it really makes the shooting experience completely different. There's something about the frame with that chassis inside. It doesn't have quite the flex that the Glock 19 has, or the PSA Dagger for that matter. It just seems to shoot a little smoother, and it's designed that way. And it definitely achieved that. And also with the grip angle, it did change things. It's more of a 1911 grip angle, so it's pretty much straight. And so that also aided in really just natural pointing. But one of the things about the OZ9 is it seemed to track really well. When I would take a shot with the light recoil, it would come right back down a lot faster than the Glock 19 or the PSA Dagger. And of course, with that mag well at the bottom, it actually gave you more support around the grip. But it is a larger handgun. Even though it's not a whole lot bigger, it's definitely larger, and you feel that in your hand when you're shooting it and when you're handling it. And then last, we brought out the Rock Island Armory STK-100. Now with that aluminum frame, it gives you a whole different feel to the firearm. Different grip feel, of course, with the aluminum, there's no give, and it's just a super flat shooting gun. You know, and it is in the Glock 17 size, so it's a little bit larger, a little bit more barrel length, and which will aid, but more mass to the slide. But then again, you've got more heft to the frame. And so out of all four, the STK-100 shot the flattest, the recoil management was much greater, and so really it was the most pleasurable gun to shoot at the range. Now I kind of started running out of time. I didn't get accuracy, but all four of these guns are very accurate, and you can look at the individual reviews to check the accuracy for each one. But all four were very reliable. I definitely would switch out to the Glock mags instead of using the P mags from Magpul. I'm just not really a big fan. And then the KCI mags that were the Korean mags in the Rock Island Armory seem to function well. But guys, going with that proven mag design to me is the best option. And typically most of your malfunctions are caused from magazines. And so going with the Glock mag to me is a no-brainer. Now while there are a lot of similarities between these pistols, once we break them down, there are a lot of differences. And I wanted to show a comparison between these, but YouTube is really funny about disassembly and assembly. So you can go to getzone.com. I have the video there with the full comparison, and I'll have a link down below in the description, and you can check that out. And we really appreciate GetZone for hosting this video. So guys, honestly, I just wanted to pull these out and shoot them side by side for myself. And I just thought I'd bring you along with it, because these are four, honestly, excellent firearms, all four of them. But yet, they're all different. And so that just gives us more choices. And again, it's just living in the golden age of firearms. We are able to really kind of fine-tune what we really like. I mean, guys, when it comes down to it, for me personally, I've invested a lot of range time. I've invested thousands upon thousands of rounds in Glocks. So for me, the pistol that I would grab is my Glock G19. It would be the Gen 5 and it would be the MOS, but it's still that Glock 19 perfection, in my opinion. And guys, if you're not a big fan of the Glock because you feel like it's blocky, these other three are going to be a totally different upgrade, and so it's going to give you a lot of options. Rubber Dummies is one of the best training tools on the market, and you get a 10% discount using Suit00 when you click the link down in the description. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. Challenging Glock Perfection. Challenging Glock Perfection. Challenging Glock Perfection. That's hard to say. Say that 3 times. Challenging Glock. And that's just my choice. I mean, some of you guys don't even care about Glocks. So, you know, it doesn't really, you know. And so we have the Glock 19 here. And what that dog, man. I hate that dog. Whoever owns that dog needs just to put a muzzle on it, because it just barks all the freaking time.